Hey there. Ever get that feeling deep down like something's just not right, even if you can't put your finger on why?
Yeah.
We're diving into that today, exploring justice sensitivity, especially for people on the autism spectrum. And get this,
Okay, yeah.
we've got an expert to help us unpack it all. I'm ready for some serious aha moments. You know I love those.
You're in for a treat, for sure.
It,
It's funny, right? We often look at autism through the lens of social differences, you know?
yeah.
But this justice sensitivity thing, it's a real strength. Deep empathy, strong moral compass, all that.
I am so ready. Break it down for us, though. Justice sensitivity. It's not just about following rules, is it?
No, not even close. Way deeper. It's that gut feeling. Something's unfair. Doesn't matter if it's happening to you or you just see it happening.
So, like, a superpowered sense of right and wrong.
Exactly. And research, it hints at this sense. Even stronger for people on the spectrum. They might pick up on stuff others totally miss. Little details, contradictions.
Ah, so that's why someone might seem to overreact. What others see as small, to them it's huge.
Exactly. Their experience, especially socially, it's just processed differently. Now, got to be careful here.
Right.
This doesn't mean every autistic person is the same. Not at all.
Everyone's different. But this idea, this justice sensitivity, it's a tool to help us understand, not some label, right?
Exactly. It's about supporting autistic individuals better. Respect, empathy, making them feel safe, understood.
If you think, to always feel overwhelmed when others don't even notice, that'd be isolating.
Absolutely. Misunderstandings all over the place. Strong reaction to something unfair. Boom, labeled as difficult.
And we're not just talking anecdotes here. This is backed by research, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And the stats. Compelling. Really highlight how big this justice sensitivity thing is.
Okay, hit me with the numbers. What are we talking about?
Well, one study. Almost half of autistic people. Strong sense of justice. Way higher than neurotypical.
No way. That much higher.
It's wild. And another study. 2/3 felt misunderstood socially. Might not all be justice sensitivity, but plays a role for sure.
Wow. Those numbers.
Yeah.
Makes it crystal clear how important this is. So from your view, what's going on in the brain? Why the difference?
Few theories floating around. Some think autistic folks process social stuff differently. Fairness, justice, all that. Less likely to just accept things, More critical thinking.
So instead of going with the flow, they're like, hold on, why is this the way it is? Fascinating.
Right. Makes us examine our own ideas about fairness. They're holding up a mirror to society asking, is this really fair?
And maybe the answer is no, which, gotta admit, can be uncomfortable if you've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack, but it makes you see things differently.
That's the beauty of digging deeper, right? Past the surface, new perspectives.
Okay, so big picture, justice sensitivity is a big deal, especially for autistic folks. But what now? Can't just label it and move on. How do we use this? Make things better?
You got it. Gets practical here. This knowledge, more effective therapies, conflict resolution that actually works, inclusive environments.
And don't forget, we got to educate those who don't get it. Imagine if more people understood. Less stressful for everyone.
Right. Workplace where everyone understands these different reactions. Powerful.
Totally. And it feels like organizations like, say, Cheap ABA, they're getting it. Empowering autistic people, challenging the misconceptions.
Leading the charge, for sure. Inclusive, equitable world, and justice sensitivity. Central to that. Not about fixing, but celebrating strengths.
Different, not deficient. Love that.
Absolutely. Embracing neurodiversity makes the world way more interesting for all of us.
It's like shifting the whole story from what's wrong to what's awesome and how do we make it shine.
Exactly. That's the key. Seeing the whole person, not just a diagnosis.
Absolutely. Okay, so how's this play out in, say, a classroom? Real-world example.
Picture this. Kid gets upset, really upset, because someone's left out of a game at recess. A teacher who gets justice sensitivity. They see it's not tattling, it's empathy. This kid's wired for fairness.
So not trying to get anyone in trouble. They're genuinely bothered by it.
Exactly. Huge difference. If the teacher is just like, don't worry, no big deal.
Oof, yeah.
They just shut down a core part of that kid.
And probably make them feel even more alone, right? Like their feelings aren't valid.
Right. But a teacher who understands, they might say, hey, I see this is hard for you. It matters that everyone's included. I appreciate you telling me.
Just acknowledging that. Huge.
Huge. And then they work together, right? Find a solution that feels fair to everyone. Turns into a learning moment.
Next level emotional intelligence right there.
I like that, because it really is. And the best part, everyone benefits from that kind of empathy.
So listener, Pay attention. You might be interacting with someone like this without realizing it.
Think about the impact you can have just by getting it. Responding with empathy makes all the difference.
Powerful stuff. We've talked about what it is, why it matters, but flip side, are there downsides to having this strong sense of fairness?
Great question. Like anything, there are nuances, right? It's a strength, but can also be tough if it's not understood.
Examples, what kind of tough stuff?
Imagine, for someone wired this way, seeing unfairness. It's incredibly distressing. Big emotions, anxiety, anger, even despair.
The world feels out of whack and they got to fix it.
Exactly. Exhausting. They're always analyzing, looking for fairness.
Very
Draining.
And hard to let go, especially if it feels like an injustice is happening right now.
You got it. And then relationships. They might not get why others aren't as bothered. Why aren't you fighting this too?
So frustrating. Makes you feel alone all over again.
Absolutely. And then conflict, right? Because their way of addressing it might come off as too intense.
Like their heart's in the right place, they want fairness, but it gets lost in translation.
Exactly. Communication is key. And empathy from everyone.
So, for someone struggling with this, what helps?
Self-awareness, big time.
Yeah.
Knowing this is part of you, how it impacts you. Crucial.
Like, this is my brain, and it's okay.
Yes. Not about suppressing it, but managing it. Finding coping skills for those big emotions.
What kind of skills?
Could be anything. Mindfulness, meditation, journaling, art.
Healthy outlets?
Exact. Support system is huge, too. People to talk to who get it, no judgment.
People who can maybe offer a different perspective sometimes.
Totally. It's a balance. Standing up for what's right, but also knowing when to step back, preserve your own energy.
Love that. Can't pour from an empty cup, right? Self-care is not selfish, especially here.
So true, and that goes hand in hand with boundaries.
Learning to say no to things that drain you, bring on those unfair situations.
Exactly. Protecting yourself, creating space to thrive.
This is great. We've gone from abstract idea to, like, concrete steps.
That's the best, right? Taking something complex, making it practical, empowering.
Speaking of, how does all this understanding of justice sensitivity, how do we use it to really support autistic people?
Now we're getting to the heart of it. This is why it matters so much.
I'm ready. Lay it on us.
When we get that justice sensitivity is like fundamental for many autistic people. It changes everything about how we support them.
Okay, I'm seeing that, but what does that actually look like?
It means we ditch those therapies trying to make everyone neurotypical.
Yeah, so much focus on masking still.
Right. Damaging. Like who they are is wrong when really those differences, often their biggest strengths.
So how do we help them navigate the world authentically then, if we're not trying to erase who they are?
That's where this all clicks. Justice sensitivity, it's not just a thing, it's often at their core. So we build support around that, honoring it.
I love that. Okay, but get specific. What's that look like in therapy, for example?
Imagine, therapist, autistic client, client's upset, really upset about something they see as unfair.
Happens all the time, I bet.
Right. Now, the therapist who gets it, they don't just see a behavior to manage, they see a valid response, rooted in that deep sense of fairness.
So not just calm down, but I hear you. This makes sense because of how you're wired.
Exactly. Validation. So powerful. This person feels seen, heard, which is
huge.
right, empowering from that place. Now you can cope with the big feelings, explore healthy responses.
So instead of a meltdown every time, it's like they learn to speak up, channel that energy, maybe even advocate for change.
Exactly. Tools to be agents of change for themselves, for the world.
This is amazing. We've gone from deficit-based to strengths-based, night and day.
And that is the key shift. Because when you focus on strengths, whole world opens up. And one of those things, helping autistic individuals find their voice.
Because they're often natural advocates, right? For justice, I mean.
100%. They see the world differently. Inconsistencies, hypocrisy, stuff others miss, that's valuable. Challenging the status quo, making things fairer for everyone.
Wow. Today has been mind-blowing, honestly. Even for me. And I thought I knew a thing or two.
Right. What fascinates me most is, like you said, that moral compass. So strong in many autistic individuals. We need to be talking about this more, celebrating it even.
Absolutely. So, listener, here's your takeaway. Next time something feels off, just a little, ask yourself, what might someone with this heightened justice sense be picking up on? Something you're missing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those aha moments coming.